Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Grow Your Tutoring Business. On my own again this week. It's a really busy time for Tutors Who Thrive. Myself and Jane, we're going away to China next week. So the time of recording this is kind of just the middle of September, 12th of September. And we're flying sort of late next week. There's so much to do, and it's been really hard to grab time to record things like this and come up with ideas. But I really wanted to put a podcast out this week. And I think it's a really good time to talk about the beginnings of new businesses. So for those of you who are new to the podcast, those of you who are new into the Facebook group, the Facebook community, there's just certain things that we could do to be helping you to create your business. And I thought one of the things I could talk about is, what would I do if I was starting from zero now with the experience of running the business and all the investments I put into myself over the last 4 years? What have I learned? What would I change basically if I was starting from scratch? So I've got 3 things to share with you that would help you start your business and grow your business, and also avoid some of the traps along the way that would either slow our progress down, or, to put it in a more positive light, just help accelerate your progress within business. The first thing I would do if starting my business from scratch now around tuition is I'd think about what I absolutely love to teach, and I'd build everything around that. So for me, it's maths. Like, I love teaching maths. There's just something about it that clicks really well in my brain. I'm able to reword things, reframe things for children, and we're able to find a way to take them from point A to point B and just find those transformative moments that just helps them understand things better. So when I was first starting up my business, I didn't do this. What I did was just go homework support. I didn't niche down, didn't really understand that. And what I managed to create then was a business that needed a lot of resources. It needed me to spend a lot of time understanding different age ranges, which is, none of these things are a real bad thing. But right at the beginning, when I really wanted to be focused on leveraging as much out of it as possible in terms of time and energy, because I was a full-time teacher when I started, like, it wasn't the best start that I could have had. So I would try to create a business out of the things that I really love to do. So maths would be that thing. Now, that can take you down many paths. I'm a primary school teacher, so generally I'm not going to be able to, or as soon as I step out of primary school, I'm not going to be a whiz at teaching somebody GCSE maths. So that's not something I would start with straight away, but it's certainly something that I would plan for in the future, whether that is with me or whether that would be finding someone who could offer that. If my niche is going to be maths, I want to build up my services around that, because I know that people are going to go, oh, Richard, he's the maths guy. And whatever level they're at, they're going to be coming to me for that one thing. Now, I'm not saying niche, and I think people niche too early. I don't believe we need to just go, right, that's it, I'm just going to do maths. But I am going to be mindful that that is what I love to do. That's what brings me joy and energy. So I'm going to try and do as much of that as possible. The next step to this is, well, what would I compromise on then? Early on in our business, it's not like we're going to open up the doors to our tuition business and we've replaced our teacher salary, or we've hit what we would consider our bottom line. So we need something else. So what are the compromises there? So the compromise might be, well, I know I love maths, but I've got 5 people asking me for maths. I've got 5 people asking me for something different. I'm going to say yes to these things that are slightly different now, so that my business is growing and I can learn more things. But that's okay in the short term, or maybe medium term as well, while we grow the other stuff around what we love and we develop that niche over time. So what is it that you are able to compromise with? I'd even take this outside of the business as well and consider, like, what other part-time jobs could you do to help supplement your life? So we want to make sure that we keep the lights on at home, that we can keep everybody fed and warm and hopefully have luxuries. But even some of that stuff might come under compromises as you're growing your business. I mean, most business owners and startup people will say to you, look, actually, what I did was I did 15 hours a day for 3 months. And I'm definitely not condoning that at all, because I don't think that's necessary. But, you know, there are sacrifices and compromises to be made along the way. Some of these things we would consider You just learning as you go, like you're walking the walk at this point, and that's fine. You'll learn what's right and what's not by making these mistakes and making these compromises. You'll soon find out what compromises are okay and what aren't. You might consider, and this is what I would do if I was starting again, thinking about how supply teaching could actually be part of that plan away from full-time teaching. Perhaps you only need to do 2 or 3 days a week supply teaching, which would give you enough energy and time for you to grow your business. It could be that you just need to keep full-time teaching for a while something else grows at the weekend until you can start just reducing your days through the week. I'd be way more strategic. I didn't have the choice to be strategic. So if you've not listened to my story, I kind of left teaching behind and just went into a part-time job that allowed me to grow the tuition business. That part-time job was still educational in a way. It was still linked to some educational software that was lived on a website. It's called 5 A Day Fitness. But I did learn a lot of the digital marketing and other tools that have supported the growth of the business as well. So there was another reason to make that compromise. Yeah, okay, I wasn't earning as much while I was working in the part-time job, but there were other benefits of things that I was learning along the way, which I think is just like something else to consider as well. Like, who can you be spending time with and learning from? Is that something you can go and get a part-time job in? So things like, for example, perhaps you could create resources for Twinkle or Classroom Secrets, or those sorts of companies who do offer freelance work, which would enable you to free up some time. You can work from home, I think, for the majority of those. Again, the pay's okay. It's not at the same level as being a qualified teacher in school, but it'll pay enough for you to grow something else for you around it. So these are good compromises to make in the early stages. This next thing I would do is something I actually did do, but maybe not enough. And you'll kind of understand why I get to that conclusion in a bit. I didn't know a lot about modern business. I did a business degree. I've read a load of books around business. It's always been my passion, like as in it's always been the thing that sort of draws me back in, but never really had the mettle to really go at it on my own, and particularly at a young age. Um, so any kind of books that I consumed sort of between the age of sort of 22 to 35 was mainly like some kind of self-help business related books. And and so there was a little bit of knowledge that sat there, really. That's what I'm going to say. Look, and it's like most university degrees, really. Unless you go off and actually it's a purposeful degree, which sounds really bad. I'm just certainly not digging out universities here or degrees. But unless you go in and really use everything in there, it's kind of like a use it or lose it type thing. And as time changes, things get left behind. That's how I feel about my business degree. There's not a lot of things I learned in my business degree that applies in today's world. If we think about how digital it is now and how businesses are mainly online, they're not shop fronts, or even the way we conduct meetings now, it's all online. So yeah, and very much about personal brand rather than brand, which is what my university degree really taught me. It was about like actual brands like Coca-Cola and how much energy and time we needed to put into creating these amazing things. So going back and starting again, I needed to do a little bit of work. It certainly was not the polished business mind that I wouldn't say it's polished now. It's definitely better than what it was 3 or 4 years ago, but it's taken a lot of time and effort and investment to really get there. So what I did at the beginning, because there wasn't any money to invest, was I did a free challenge. And I did the same free challenge because it was something that kind of rolled around regular enough for it to make an impact, that helped me understand certain elements of selling. That made a massive difference to my business at the time, to the point where it was growing and I could invest money in myself, which meant I could afford the course at the end of that 5 day challenge. Once I did the course, I felt more comfortable in growing and scaling the business. There were other elements and skills in there other than what was just really in the course. And that sounds weird because often what makes a course great is the structure, but it's the things that sit around it that you learn. And what I say to people on the 12-week course is that, look, this is like the information. This is what works. What you have to do is consume the information, then change it in a way that it's going to work for you, because it's your vision. They're your strategy, your goals. Then you can decide what works and what doesn't. Because what I would never want to do on my 12-week course is say to somebody, look, this is what I did, just copy it. But there is an element of saying, this is what I did, and this is the structure, and this is the reason why it worked. When you pick apart those things, you will take out the bits that you need as a business owner, and you'll be able to apply them in the way that works for you. It might not be like that straight away, but once you kind of repeat these things over and over, you're able to go, right, I know that didn't work last time, or that didn't feel comfortable. I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to change it or tweak it. So the process essentially stays the same, but it becomes a little bit more streamlined, and you find out what works along the way. So, and I think 5-day challenges are perfect. Or challenges in general, because there are 3-day challenges, there are weekend challenges, there are 30-day challenges out there. Go and get involved in them. Now, again, look around the learning. It's not just about the actual session itself and the homework or task you're set, but it's also about the people that are in there, and they support one another. You ask questions and you get answers. So it's not just the focus on the business guru or the coach or the mentor. It's actually about the community that they create and feeding from that. That's what I always took from the 5-day challenges that I took part in. Mine were very much business focused or sales focused. Looking back, if I wanted to accelerate that even more, yes, I'd do those again, but I'd look at things like social media. So definitely the different platforms now. Are there any TikTok challenges, LinkedIn challenges? Are there any like general marketing ones, messaging and branding? All of these things that sort of all the little pieces of the puzzle. And look, that is what makes up the 12-week course. All of these little pieces that we need to put together. That's what we talk about. That's what we share. And that's the kind of growth that we take. And that same community field as well. Yes. Okay. There's a few of us that head it up now. Like, I deliver most of the sessions, but we also have these guest experts in that deliver sessions for us. And they also become part of the course who can be there to answer questions. And I think that's just such an amazing place to be. Similar to the 5-day challenges, there are other experts in there. So you ask questions, you get a ton of value back. So for me, the other thing I would do if I was starting again, I'd go and look at those 5-day challenges, and I'd be trying to just upskill myself as much as I can for free. We want to find clients as fast as possible. Okay. We want to go down the easiest route. Now, this won't be for everybody, because there'll be some people that will say, you know, they don't have a network of people, in which case we make that the top priority. But most of us have our clients living on this thing, which is the phone. Okay. Our phone or our contacts, our email lists. Get out there and be visible about your business. Be loud about it. Don't be shy to send a message to the 10 most likely people who would share about your business. Just notice so far that I haven't mentioned things like Facebook pages or websites or creating like a branded anything yet. It's just about getting out your business to the right people, making sure they know about it so they can go and share it. So who is in your phone who would be your champion, who might even be your next client, and you message them and you say, look, I'm starting a tuition business, or I have started a tuition business. I'm focusing on whatever it is you're focusing on. You're a great person to share this. You know loads of people. Is there anybody you'd be willing to just forward this information onto? Leave it like that. And either they're going to text you back and go, I'm so sorry, I'm not really going to do this, because it makes them feel awkward, or they're going to go, yeah, sure, no problem. Most of the time it's sure, yeah, no problem. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean they do it, but you can always check back in with them in a couple of days. Oh, did you think of anybody? Like, I'm not saying you keep like nudging people and annoying them, but a couple of messages is going to be okay, particularly if you've identified them as somebody who would be your champion. I'm sure they wouldn't mind hearing from you and even hearing updates. I would do this more. I kind of did do this to a point. There was a couple of people, but when I think about some of the names I had in my phone, like when I started this up 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was leaving teaching, I could have lent into that a whole lot more. And I wish I had. And that's something which I've learned along the way. I do this more now. Now my network's kind of bigger and more people know what I do. Word of mouth is always going to be the thing that works once your business is up and running. But you never want to just have word of mouth. There needs to be other ways into the business. I use contacts on my phone all the time. I'm like, oh, I've got this thing coming up. So anybody that you could recommend? I've got friends who work in year 5. I've got head teachers that run schools locally that I know quite well. If there's anybody, and I was regularly just say, oh, is there anybody here that you think would be would find it useful or looking for someone, please bear me in mind. And I kind of just leave it at that. And I do that a couple of times a year, just so that I'm doing what I call the McDonald's effect. I don't think McDonald's needs to advertise anymore for anybody's length of lifetime, but yet they're still on every sort of bus stop or on the side of a bus. Why do they do that? Just because you see a McDonald's sign, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go straight to McDonald's and get a McFlurry or whatever it is that you would buy, but it keeps them at the forefront of your mind. So even if it's not today, it might be tomorrow, or it'll be the end of the week as a treat. That's what we want to do. We just want to stay in the forefront of people's minds. So your phone or your email contacts or your friends in Facebook or inside LinkedIn or TikTok, wherever it may be, your next client lives there. Or if they don't, it's somebody who is connected to them. So lean into the people that you know. So we've got 3 tips there to something that I would do if I was starting from scratch. And they are: build my business around what I love doing. Even though there will be compromises in the beginning, I'm still going to make sure that vision of, if I love maths, my business is going to be built around maths. In the beginning, it might not be 100% maths, but eventually it will be. My second thing is join in with local challenges. 5-day challenges is what I mean. 5-day challenges, 30-day challenges in the skill areas that you need. So it could be social media. It might just be general business. It could be TikTok. It could be LinkedIn. Whatever it may be for you, go and join them. Go and learn from the expert that's delivering that free content, that bit of value, but also the community is there to support you too. And I think that's what makes those spaces magical. And the last thing is leaning into the contacts that you already know. If you don't have contacts, you make that a priority. Now, this can be well outside of the comfort zone, because this is things like attending networking events, online networking events. It might be getting involved in online summits, maybe even on those kind of more obscure social media places like Mumsnet, the Nextdoor app, those kind of places. And look, if you want your business to succeed, it does take an element of walking away from the things you feel comfortable with and walking outside of that area and heading into that fear zone and the learning zone. So yeah, they're your tips for today. That's what I would do if I was starting again as a priority. The priority is always for any business to bring in money. If your business is not bringing in money, it's not a business yet. And so we can have our values and our ethics up front. Like I would tell anybody, like, if you're going to run a tuition business, make sure you're doing a good job, because you doing a good job is going to enable your business to grow. So be a good teacher, be a good tutor, but we still need to have these other business pieces of the pieces of jigsaw together for you to grow. Okay, everybody, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for listening. There probably will be some podcasts out while we're in China, but it won't be, might not be as slick, but we'll see you when we're back. Take care, everybody. See you later.